Good evening and welcome to today's lesson. Today we are going to look at media relations, and this is our first lesson. In this lesson, we look at principles of media relations. It is lesson 1. There are several lessons that I've planned. We'll be going through in this particular unit called media relations. So in this lesson, we are going to specifically focus on principles of media relations. So when you talk about principles of media relations, first of all, it is good that we look at what is media relations. When we talk about media relations refers the ability to build and maintain good relationship with the media, such as reporters, such as editors, such as journalists, etc. The power of the media, what we know is that it extends far beyond advertising. People think that the role of the media is all about advertising. That is not the case. The media plays a very big role. It plays what we call the fourth estate role. It plays the role of agenda setting role. It plays the role of informing, the role of entertaining, the role of watchdog, and so on and so forth. And a public relations practitioner specifically, he needs to have what we call good media relations skills, because this public relations practitioner, normally we usually say that he is the eyes and the ears of the organization. And mostly, he will be using the media to communicate what is happening in the organization, and also actually communicate what is happening in the organization to the outside public, or to the public, both internally and externally. And therefore, we are saying that media relations is very crucial, or it's very critical to every person, or to every public relations practitioner. And therefore, media relations, therefore, that's why we are saying that it refers to the ability of building and maintaining good relationship with the media. When you talk about public relations, it maintains, it creates and maintains relationship and mutual understanding between the publics. And one of the publics of public relations is media. Therefore, when you talk about media relations, it is the ability to maintain that good relationship between the media and the organization. So the media usually decides which topic will be in the public eye and which one will not. Because when these people called the editors, the reporters, sometimes when they gather the news from the field, they will want to choose which one will take place, the first place, which one will take the second place, and which one will take the third place. So these people called the reporters, the editors, and the journalists in general, they decide which information will go to the public and which one will not go to the public, because of and this is because of so many reasons. Sometimes it's because of currency, because of importance, because of how this news will affect maybe the public, and so on and so forth. If a news item affects so many people, if it affects so many people, like for example, the reading of the budget, then that one takes the first position. For example, if it affects very few people, then it takes a second or even the last position. So when you talk about then what we call media relations, the media, they set trends to contribute to mood of society as a whole and shape public opinion. Someone who is not on a media survey will mostly likely mismanage it in such a way that their company is not seen in a fair light. Now we see people who usually mismanage what we call media. And when you mismanage media, the media portrays you the way you are as an organization, and therefore you will be seen in a very bad light. So it is good to have very good media relations, especially a journalist who has done also public relations, so that this journalist knows exactly how the media works. So this makes media relations an essential tool for organizations. So the involvement ranges from providing press information to comments and public statements. Sometimes you have seen even the government, it wants to communicate something to the public. It calls what we call the press briefing. It calls for what we call press meetings, and so on and so forth. It calls for the media from all parts of the world to come, or part of the country to come and cover the event, because they want the public to know what is happening in the government. So good relationship with journalists are especially indispensable in the case of needing to diffuse crisis situations and maintain company goodwill. Now, when you talk about media relations, it's very important, because at times you'll find that an organization is in a crisis. And maybe, for example, you don't have what we call a good relationship with the media. When you call it the media in the first place to come and explain to them what has happened, they may not even come. But when you have very good relationship with the media, the moment you tell them to come, they respond on time. They know that you respect them. So the media will only come, or the media or the journalists will only come at a place where they are respected, where their opinion is taken care of, and where information is available. For example, there are those companies when they realize that they're in a crisis. Say, for example, there was fire outbreak. That organization, when they see media personnel at the gate, they tell the soldiers or the people manning the gate to chase them, to tell them, go, just disappear from this place. You are not needed here. And what happens is that the media, what it does, it will get information from the community or the eyewitnesses, who may also give them news that is not true about maybe the fire outbreak. And that is what they will air on TV. And actually, this makes it worse, because it may also tarnish the image of the organization further. So it is always good to have good media relations. When you see the media, direct them to the right office where they will get information, so that when they're portraying this information on their media channels, they are not misleading people. They are actually saying exactly what they were told by the organization through their people who mans the media. And actually, most of the time, you'll find that it is the PR department that deals with the media in case of anything. In case anything happens in the organization, it's the PR department that deals with the media. And of course, there is that person specifically, those organized organizations, they have that personnel who usually does what we call deals with the media directly. Not everybody that deals with the media. Now, when you talk about media relations, it's one part of the complex process of public relations, which can be taken care of in successful companies by keeping specialists or retaining external agencies. In other words, we are saying that as far as you have a public relations department, in case of a crisis, you should come up with what we call a person who is in charge, who will be speaking on behalf of the organization. And it is always good to ensure that every person who works in the organization, in case the media wants answers, then they should be directed to that one specific person in that particular organization, because it will look the organization will look disorganized when every Tom, Dick, and Harry can answer to the media. This may make things worse than they look. So it's good to have a specialist who, in case the media comes to the organization, these media personnel will be directed to this particular specialist. Having said that, let us look at what we call the principles of good media relations. Number one, proper choice of target media. Proper choice of target media. We are saying that good media relations begin with selecting the appropriate outlets. By the way, it is not every outlet that is appropriate. For example, if your audience is the community, you must be very careful and you must understand the outlet that they use most. If it is the newspaper, when you're communicating, communicate via the newspaper. To the community, communicate via the newspaper. If they listen to radio more, then when you're communicating to the community, use what we call the radio. So research local and regional outlets to see what type of stories are covered and areas served. Once you identified prospects, get details and deadlines, names of reporters, editors, contact information, etc. In other words, create a one-page spreadsheet or Word document with all the data for easy, what we call easy access. Number two, principle of media relations is placing stories consistently. Placing stories consistently requires good relationship with reporters. It requires good relationship with reporters. It involves finding out which reporter or which reporters cover your topic area or industry. It's good to do what we call developing a good relationship with the media. Because when you develop a negative relationship with the media, what it means is that the media, when you call them, they will not respond. Sometimes they will not come because you already have what we call a bad relationship with them. But when you respect the media, and they will respect you back. Anytime you require them or anytime you need them, they will respond to you. Contacting them, introduce yourself. It is good to introduce yourself and your agency. Emphasize you can be a good source of news for their readers or viewers, and invite them to visit your website. It's always good to invite the media. Tell them that you can also visit our website. Also determine their preferences for receiving news release, fax, email, attachment, the body of an email, and their deadlines. The next principle of media relations is understanding how reporters work. Very key. It's good to understand how reporters work. Because once you understand how they work, I think that is where respect comes from. So reporters are often swamped with stack of news releases. Every organization, they are sending what we call news releases. So as a media personnel or as a public relations personnel, you need to understand how a certain media works. For example, know their what we call their house style. Media XYZ may be having a different house style as opposed to media ABC. So when you're writing what we call a press release, it should be according to the house style of a certain media. Because if it goes against that style, then the media will not publish that what we call press release. So while you believe your story is important, good reporters, when deciding on potential news, they adhere to what we call journalistic standard. When you think that your story is good, when the media or the journalists look at your story, they may not see anything. So that's why we say that in an organization, a very good person to fit in what we call media relations department or public relations department is a person who has done PR and also has done what we call media relations. Because if you have done public relations, then you must do what we call media relations for you to understand how media works, how journalists work, how the various or the different types of house styles, depending on what we call the media houses that you have. So it is good that you understand how the media works, so that at least when you're saying that this is news, or at least when an organization is saying that this is news, you can be able to advise them that this is not news. According to journalistic standard, this one is not news. According to journalistic standard, this is what we call ABCD. At least you can be able to advise the organization. So again, when you understand how reporters work, it helps you to know whether something is news or not, whether something is unique or not. And it is always good. It helps you to do what? To know whether you reported on a similar item recently or not. It also helps you to know whether whatever you are bringing out is quality or not. So then, after understanding how reporters work, it being a principles of media relations, always be honest. You know, there are some organizations that are very dishonest. There are some organizations that are always dishonest,